Hey guys, how's it going? This is John and welcome to another episode. Today I'm going to talk about one of my favorite home video formats out there. And I know a lot of us are familiar with the VHS tapes. Even some of us might remember Betamax. And obviously we all know about DVDs and Blu-ray now. But the one format that I really like watching and prefer today, unfortunately they don't make any movies on it anymore, but it's great to watch in if it's out there, is a LaserDisc. This is an example of a LaserDisc. Obviously most of you who know me know that I'm a huge fan of the Star Wars trilogy, so no surprise I have this copy, but it almost reminds me of like a vinyl as far as size goes. They're 12-inch discs. Now as far as vinyl goes, you know how vinyl records have a really cool detail into it. Well, so do LaserDiscs. Actually, I love the detail. You get the artwork, actually opens up and talks about the movies in most cases. This is a 2-disc set. I'll explain to you why this particular movie is in 2 discs. Some of them are 1 disc. They're not all just 2 discs. And on the back, you got your information. So you get a lot more information in the movie itself than you do just with a DVD or a VHS. Let's open this up. Let's take one out. It's important. A lot of them have this plastic casing over it too. It's important to keep that because these things do get scratched. They do get dust on them and it can affect the play. Let's open this up here. And I'll show you this thing. Look how huge that thing is. That thing is gigantic. I mean, it's like I said, it's 12 inches long, 12 inches wide, so significantly bigger than a standard DVD player. But this thing was way ahead of its time because think about this, guys. The technology of the patent for LaserDisc, or also known as LD, started in like 1958, believe it or not. And it wasn't until 1978, though, that the LaserDisc actually made it to the home market. And it was mainly brought by MCA and Pioneer, who kind of teamed up initially. Now, eventually Pioneer had bought the major stakes and bought out MCA on it. And they really created a lot of systems or players up until, believe it or not, like January of 2009, which is unbelievable. They still made players, Pioneer still made players up until last year, believe it or not, for the LaserDisc. So that's really interesting news. Now, one of the very first movies out for LaserDisc was Jaws, released in 1978. The last movie, one of the last movies, was in 2000. That was Sleepy Hollow. Now, unfortunately, LaserDisc did not fare very well in North America. In fact, by 1998, only 2%, about 2 million people had a LaserDisc player. So it didn't fare well in Europe as well, or Australia, but it did do better in Japan. In fact, at the same time in 1998, about 10% of the market had LaserDisc players. Now, one thing interesting about LaserDisc are it's all analog. Well, the video, I should say, is analog. The audio can actually be digital. In fact, the first digital LaserDisc movie was Episode 1, Star Wars Episode 1, which was released in 1999. So it was released later, much later in the life of the LaserDisc. So most LaserDiscs out there are both audio and video are analog, compared to a DVD where it's all digital. Now, there's kind of some benefits to both. You can have benefits of having an analog is it does scratch and does skip. However, unlike a DVD player, like if you're watching a DVD and it scratches, you can't continue the movie. Whereas analog, you can actually flip to another frame and it actually just automatically flips to another frame and it continues the movie. So you can actually continue watching the movie even though it's scratched or anything like that. Also, you get micro blocking in DVDs. If you're watching a DVD, you're watching a big high-def television, you actually see little tiny blocks in it, where the quality on the LaserDisc player, that doesn't appear. So you can actually, it's a much better quality video in most cases on a LaserDisc, which is really interesting as well. There are 3 types of lasers out there. The first one is constant angular velocity, CAV, and basically that would allow you to put about 30 minutes on one side of a disc. So one disc would be an hour. Now that's not very much, I know that, but that was the very first part, that was the first format of LaserDisc. The cool thing was you can actually pause it frame by frame. You could, unlike a VHS or Betamax back in the day, and the quality, you can pause it with high quality. So there's definitely some cool features you had with that. Now eventually they released another format called constant linear velocity, which was CLV, and that was a much more popular format, and that would allow you to do about 60 minutes on each side. So you could do about 120 minutes for one disc, which was huge because most movies that were under 120 minutes, you could have one disc. The third format was constant angular acceleration, which was about 55 minutes, and that was used later on in life, and wasn't nearly as popular. So constant linear velocity was definitely the format that you'd probably see in most LaserDisc players. Now the bad thing about LaserDisc, kind of the crappy thing about having a LaserDisc player, is if you're watching a long movie, in most cases, unless it's under an hour long, you have to flip the disc. There were other players that they released later on that can actually flip the disc for you, but in most cases, if you're watching the movie, you'd actually have to get up and flip the disc. Okay, so I think I talked enough about LaserDisc for you. So let's check out my collection of LaserDiscs. This is my collection. I have some movies that I'm actually lending out to some friends, but let's take a closer look. Thanks for watching, guys. Okay, guys, here's a closer look at my LaserDisc collection. Now, one thing I do also want to point out, a benefit of having a LaserDisc compared to a VHS player back in the 80s and 90s, where it was that VHS tapes, they're played by a magnetic strip, the player, and that actually touches the film, and every time you play it, actually diminishes the quality of that video every time. So the cool thing about LaserDisc, similar to the DVDs, is that it's all touches laser, so it doesn't even touch the LaserDisc. So theoretically, you can watch this, and the quality is going to be the same regardless. So this will give you a good idea as far as what type of movies I enjoy watching. Got Back to the Future. I want to start with this one because this movie just came out 25 years ago this year. So it's 25th anniversary. Fantastic movie series trilogy. I love this movie. Definitely check it out. If you haven't seen this movie, shame on you. This is a single disc. You got Back to the Future 2 as well. And this is, it says digital laser video. So I don't know. I think maybe the audio is digital, but I know for a fact that the video is analog. Okay. Cool thing about these LaserDiscs also, if you find them, they're really cheap in most cases. I paid $2 for Breakfast Club, and you get less $5 or less for most LaserDiscs. $2 for a classic movie. Yeah, Short Circuit again at $2. You got Indiana Jones: Last Crusade, another great trilogy. This is a 2-part disc. You can open up and see some artwork. Got another Harrison Ford classic, The Fugitive, again, $2. They managed to fit this one on 2 discs. It's just packed in differently. Pink Floyd, The Wall, great album. What can be said about DuckTales that hasn't been said? This is a fantastic cartoon. I have the series on DVD, and it is class. Throws me back. These are actually 4 episodes. So that's cool. 2 two-parters. You got Die Hard 2. Look how young Bruce Willis looks in that. This is a 2-parter. I love that, information they put onto it and stuff like that. All the work they put into this, story. It's Die Hard 1. Look at the cover to this. Does that look like the Twin Towers? Isn't that crazy? That's nuts, huh? I think they've changed the cover since, obviously. But again, it's a 2-part. Great series. Another Harrison Ford, Blade Runner. Willow. This movie, definitely check out. This is a classic, kind of very underrated LucasArts movie. Fantastic movie. Got Val Kilmer in it. Warwick Davis, who plays, he's in The Leprechaun. He plays Wicket in Star Wars. Great series. Obviously, Star Wars. I do own Episode 1. I'm lending that to a friend. I also own the Ewok movies on LaserDisc. That's the same friend, so I don't have it for that video. This video to show you, but once I get that, I'll show that to you for sure. This is Star Wars. Again, the artwork, amazing. Definitely my favorite. This is the original. So this is not the special effects. This is the original. So that's cool. So I prefer this version for sure. Now they did release a version of Star Wars on LaserDisc that was the, special edition that they released, with the kind of better color, better audio, but this is the original, so that's cool. Definitely the best preference to have that. Let's see the artwork. You got Mel Gibson, Braveheart. Paid $3 for this movie, and fantastic. Came out in 1985. Really cool movie based on true story. Highly recommend it. This is a very long movie for sure, but it's a great one. We got some more movies here. This is classic The Abyss, classic James Cameron movie, pre-Avatar. But this opens up, and you can just see the time they put into it, creating the abyss, performing the underworld. Kind of talks about what the movie about itself, how they made it. You get the story. Lethal Weapon 3. Sleepless in Seattle. Actually, this is not really found a chick flicks necessarily, but growing up in Seattle, I had to get this movie. Paid $2 for it. Home Alone 2. That's classic as well. Young Sherlock Holmes. I think I paid like $1 for this. Pretty cool. Heavy Metal. Definitely a great movie. I haven't seen it in a while. I need to watch this again, but I remember it's been great. This is Brain Scan. This is Edward Furlong, the kid from Terminator 2, and not a very good movie, to be quite honest with you. You got Les Mis. I actually like Les Mis a lot. Enjoy the musicals. Went to with my parents a number of times, and great soundtrack. Okay, Who Framed Roger Rabbit? This is interesting. This is actually a rare title. I paid 98 cents for this, and it's worth more than 98 cents. Let me show you that. That's crazy. But this movie itself is pretty rare because in this version you actually can pause frame by frame and play frame by frame. Unlike DVDs, you can't do that. So why this is so controversial? There's some scenes in this movie where this guy right here, this baby, I forget his name, but he, in the very intro, I've seen it and confirmed it. He flicks off. He goes underneath someone's dress and he flicks him off and lifts it up. And then Jessica Rabbit, there's a scene where supposedly you can, and I've seen it as well. I think there's like a topless scene where you can just one frame. And it's pretty interesting. So that's why people like to get this version, because you can pause it and slow it down enough to see it. Great movie. Interesting fact about this is the Tombstone Pictures, but it's the only movie that Warner Brothers and Disney actually teamed up and had characters from both movies in it. And now it's owned by Disney. So this is like a laser active magazine. Stevie Nicks. Yeah. Porky's. Paid $1 for this. Wow, this is like the American Pie of the 80s. That's all I'll say. This is a classic movie. Loverboy. I don't know why I have this one, but it's got McDreamy from Grey's Anatomy in it. Carrie Fisher. And Christy Alley. So it's got a great cast, I guess. Star Trek Generations. Big Star Trek fan. Logan's Run, which is an interesting sci-fi from the 70s, I believe it was released. It had been in the 70s, early 80s, but yeah, it's interesting. Logan's Run. 2001 Space Odyssey. Excellent. If you enjoy sci-fi, check this movie out. This is epic, to say the least. We got Jurassic Park. This movie came out in look how this opens up. Isn't that cool? That's really badass, I think. This movie came out in 93. 17 years ago. I remember this movie like it came out yesterday. That is crazy. The Crow. You had Brandon Lee, where he actually died in the movie, which is pretty interesting. Like literally, really died. That's crazy. Flatliners. Kiefer Sutherland, Julia Roberts, Kevin Bacon. A really interesting movie. Schwarzenegger. Terminator. The Terminator is awesome. Terminator 2. Terminator 2. Judgment Day. Another James Cameron classic. Both those were James Cameron. And a fantastic movie. Hook. Really good family flick. Robin Williams, really funny. Sequel to Peter Pan. Got Julia Roberts in it. We got RoboCop. Paid $2 for this as well. This movie I was watching the other day, and it's super violent for back in the day. I don't remember it being as violent, but I remember it being crazy violent watching it. I'm like, wow. You got Aladdin, $3. And this is a classic Disney cartoon. There also was some controversy with some of the animation in some of these Disney movies back in the day, early 90s. There's some, I think there's a scene where Aladdin says, like, good girls take off her clothes, and Jasmine, like, her eyes get big. It's when they're doing the carpet ride. It's pretty funny. And then you got E.T. You got Raiders of the Lost Ark. Romancing the Stone. Another Last Crusade. And Battlestar Galactica, the old school one, which is cool. So, thanks for watching, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and we'll have another one up shortly. Take care. See you soon.